Hello and welcome to my 7th video. Hope you have your coffee mug ready with you and have a date if your sugar level drops. So today's video is about SRE. Just pretty short video about what is SRE and how it connects with the DevOps practices. There is a concept that is happening and SRE basically came from Google. So they started to have a set of practices to make sure google.com is available to everyone. Here we are going to talk about how SRE implements DevOps. So SRE is a particular way that we want to implement DevOps practices. So here we are going to see DevOps equivalent of that practice and how SRE implements that one. First of all, DevOps says reduce organizational silos. In the previous video, we talked about how DevOps brings in dev and ops, sometimes security people, and makes it DevSecOps. So SRE brings in the ownership to developers, ownership of the code, pipeline, and sometimes ownership of the production environment. Sometimes the organization are not ready to give the ownership of the production. That's okay, but usually SRE encourages it. DevOps says that accept failure as normal. Says like it happens. It frequently happens, just we should be ready for it. SRE, from the other hand, says that you should have a formula to make sure we are ready if there is something happening. If there is some new releases that they are happening and they're faulty, we should have a way to mitigate it. DevOps says that implement gradual change. How SRE does that one is like this. It encourages moving quickly by reducing the cost of failure. How we do that, we are going to learn about it. DevOps talks about leveraging tooling and automation. SRE has a good motto. Let's automate this year's job and let's go towards the next one. So what we want to do in SRE, we want to minimize the manual work in the system and we want to focus to bring in the long-term value to the companies. DevOps says that you should measure everything. And SRE says that actually it's an engineering practice. Why not measuring availability, uptime, outage, toil, and then maybe optimize the system for it? Let's go and find out how SRE implements each one of them with a good example. For example, here we are talking about measuring part of the DevOps. SLIs, SLOs, and SLAs. What are they? So SLA actually is service level agreement. That's why what the salespeople, they go to the customer and they agree upon. So if you do not meet that SLA, probably we should pay some money in there. We have SLI, that they are a set of indicators of how our system is performing. We can have in here uptime, we can have error rate, or maybe if we are talking about something like RAM or cache, we can say the miss rate, cache miss rate. We have also SLO. So what objectives we put on these SLIs or indicators. So for example, we want to have maybe 99% uptime per year. So usually for any indicator, there is a time frame. So we are saying that we want to have this much of miss rate in this time frame. And yep, that's it. Just we should make sure that SLOs are always better than what we promised to our customer in as SLA. And we have toil and toil budgets. So what toil means? Toil is a manual task that you should do 12 a.m. because your system is down. And what is creative work then is the next day when you are waking up from probably 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. you are writing a program that you can automate that scaling of the systems or like automate self-healing in there. What we want to see in here, about like 20% of the job can be toil, but the 80% should be creative work. I see creative work as kind of investment in the company and in the people's happiness. And there is a rule of thumb that I usually follow. If the time that it takes to automate the task is less than the time that that task is going to occur during a year, so we should automate the task. Or sometimes use a system to automate the task. Self-healing and automated rollbacks. Do you remember that we said that we want to bring down the risk of failure? So that's it. We want to bring in the self-healing to the system. We want to implement the gradual release with canary deployment and enable self-healing. If one of those deployments having a problem, we should be able to automatically roll back to the previous working version. And also we should enable the self-healing to restart the system if there are a lot of errors happening. And lastly, we have risk and error budgets. We don't want to discourage developers to bring in a code that is faulty to production. At the end of the day, we cannot completely stop errors in the production. What we want to do is just put a budget in there. So we say that it's okay if your program has probably 100 errors per week. Hopefully, that's how it ends up. But usually it's about 100 errors per day. So at the end of the day, we don't want to look for something like 99.9999% perfection. Because if we are targeting that one and we are pushing developers to deliver a system that almost has no errors, at the end of the day, we are kind of limiting their creativity. So what we are going to do is that we are going to tell them, this is your budget for error. And this budget of error usually enforced by the SRE team. They are seeing different parts of the application. They know about the SLAs and they are saying that you cannot do more than this error or you cannot have more than this error. And we are going to implement something like monitoring to make sure that developers, they are going to get the data about uptime, and also they are going to get the data about the errors that are happening. And the reference for this video was mainly Google's site and my experience. Thank you.